Welcome to the channel where reality is scarier than fiction. Today we're diving into 3 true stories that will send chills down your spine and haunt your thoughts. Grab a blanket, lock your doors, and prepare to step deep into the world of terror. I was 31 years old at the time, and here is my story. I was looking for a new car because my old one had broken down in the middle of the road after work. So, I decided to browse the car listings on Leboncoin, hoping to find a good deal. I came across a small red Alfa Romeo that looked very appealing. I contacted the seller through the site, and everything seemed normal. The car was clean, had low mileage, and the seller seemed friendly. We quickly agreed on a meeting so I could see the car and possibly buy it. The meeting was scheduled for January 12th. On my way there, using a friend's car, I realized I wasn't heading toward a residential area as the seller had described. I didn't think too much of it. In the distance, I saw a small house and the red Alfa Romeo from the listing. I slowed down and stopped. As I stepped out of the car, I had a bad feeling. The seller wasn't there, and he was unreachable. I waited a few minutes and got back into my friend's car. Looking in the rearview mirror, I saw a white van approaching. I thought, great, the seller must finally be here. Maybe he was just running late. Yes, I was naive. The van stopped in front of the red Alfa. 4 men dressed in black got out, holding a rope in their hands. What I hadn't mentioned earlier was that it was cold that day, so I had already started the car engine to keep the heater running. That's what saved me. I instinctively released the handbrake, shifted gears, and drove off as fast as I could. On my way back, I decided to take a longer route home, just to make sure those 4 men weren't following me. When I got home, I went back to check the listing. It no longer existed. Okay, so here goes. This may take a while to set up, so in 2015 or 2016, my dad took over this restaurant at this campground called Viking Lake. It was a charming little place. It was right on the shore of the lake, and people would come and go, whether it be for fishing supplies, ice cream, or food. Anyways, we met this guy there. I'll call him Steve. We liked Steve. He was a hard worker and always helped us with anything. So, long story short, he slept in a camper every night at the campground, as he had no home. So this restaurant thing never really worked out. It was too expensive for my dad to pay every week, so we packed everything and went back home for good. I didn't mind, as we had to drive an hour there and then an hour back home every day. But since we didn't own the property no more, Steve couldn't just stay on the campground all the time anymore with his camper. So we said he could live on our acreage in his camper. So this guy became like my brother. Every night I would walk out to his camper. We had a Wi-Fi extender, so he had Wi-Fi in his camper. We would play PS4 or sometimes just watch TV shows. So his camper was probably 50 feet away from the door leading into the backyard area, and his camper was situated almost to the end of our property, so it was a short walk. Anyways, one night I was walking out there, and it was pitch black except for the light coming out of the animal pens, and I heard footsteps in the woods. The woods were basically 20 steps from the left of my back door, and bear in mind the camper was straight ahead after opening the door about 50 feet. So basically it was just a super long, narrow path to the camper. So as I was walking, I hear footsteps, and I look. It wasn't just something that I heard, because all of my goats were looking into the woods with me. It was definitely the footsteps of some kind of bipedal creature. I said hello, and the footsteps got louder and closer to me. I ran back to the door, but before I walked in, I turned around and said, "Who is there?" I heard a really weird, low-pitched growl come from the woods, and I just ran inside. An hour later, Steve texted me and asked why I haven't been out there yet. I told him I heard some things and I was pretty freaked out. He basically mocked me and told me I'm hearing things. Basically just trying to get me to show him wrong and go out there to game with him. Anyways, I eventually give in and walk all the way out to the camper. No problems with a flashlight. We game for a while, and I leave the camper and am on my way back to the house. Next thing I know, I hear these loud footsteps again, crunching up some leaves and sticks. I turn the flashlight on and look around everywhere, but I don't see anything. I eventually hear something way high up in this huge tree. It sounded like a woodpecker, but it was hitting the tree in a very slow rhythm. It was getting louder and louder. I said hello, and right when I said it, the noise just goes rapid fire as if someone or something was just hitting the tree as fast as it could with a fist. I aim my flashlight towards the noise, and it stops. Then I see an extremely pale, skinny armworm. Its way around the tree, as if it was trying to hold on to it. I don't know how I didn't run after that part, but instead I walked a little bit to try and see what was behind the trunk so far up. That's the story, but I can kind of explain what I saw. It was a somewhat tall creature, extremely pale, completely black eyes. Its limbs were long and skinny, and I remember how all of the limbs looked twisted around, angled, like it had been run over a bunch of times. Biggest scare I had in my life. I literally thought I had seen the rake. A few years ago, I lived on the second floor of an old apartment building. One night, I was up late binge watching a show with the curtains open just a crack. Figured no one could see in from that angle. Around 1 a.m., I got this weird feeling, like I was being watched. I brushed it off until I caught movement outside from the corner of my eye. I paused the show, and there was a face in the window. A man was standing on the fire escape, staring directly at me. I froze, not knowing what to do, but when I finally stood up, he took off. I called the building manager the next morning, and apparently, someone had been sneaking around the complex for weeks. I haven't left my curtains open at night since. Thank you for watching these chilling true stories. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more terrifying tales. Let us know in the comments which story gave you the most chills, and stay safe out there, because sometimes the scariest things are the ones that really happen. Until next time, good night.